Welcome everybody to another episode of Mixed. I have the lovely Jade with us, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi.
So I'm really excited to get Jade on, just to get her thoughts and feelings about the whole Black Lives Matter and how she feels and a bit about her story. So I'm really excited to have you on, Jade de
I'm excited to
Bebe.
be here.
So a
I'm
bit of background
excited.
how me and Jade know each other. Wow. Right.
Oh my
Where do we
God.
start? Where do we start?
It's a fairy tale.
14 years old, 13,
Yeah.
14 years old. Um, me and my brother are in Chester. We're on a park, on a choo-choo train that goes around the park.
Was you
And
on the choo-choo train?
yeah, there was me,
Ah,
Sheridan, my brother, and we were on the train. And then I met, who's now my partner, Olivia. Wasn't at the time. We kind of just they
she
asked because
spotted you.
yeah,
She
they're all
spotted you
they're
in
all
the
over us like
park.
a bad rash. They couldn't keep our hands over, so they were
Shut
loving us
up.
off. So what can we say? So that was Jade. That was like 13, 14 years ago, and through the years, me and Ollie have stayed in contact, and you lot have been bezies ever since. Well, since back in the day.
My bestie, yeah.
So yeah, so this is my partner's best friend, and I thought it'd be really, really good to sit down and have a conversation with you and
Yeah.
about your journey as well. So actually, let's bring to the I suppose the beginning. So, what made you feel like you wanted to come on here?
Well, I feel like I really wanted to use this opportunity to kind of use my voice and speak to other Black women and also inform people about the boundaries and,
Mm,
you know, things they don't realize they're doing.
yeah,
Um,
man, I really like the boundaries part because big thing, and especially for a black woman, is the hair. And then the
yeah.
hair's a very, very sensitive thing to get involved with. Or can I
Solange had
touch
to
it?
write about a song,
Yeah.
she had to write her song about it. Don't touch my hair.
Don't touch my hair, man. So
Yeah.
what's your journey been like with your hair?
Oh my gosh. I love my hair.
Yep.
This is obviously a little remix of, Black women always change their hair. We're
Okay.
renowned for it.
Yeah.
So I love my hair, but my journey in regards to how other people um, feel like they can touch
Just
my
go
hair
like
has
that.
been quite different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I live in Chester, which is kind of a predominantly white area.
Mhm.
And yeah, I've had so many experiences where people have put their hands in my hair. Um,
And they've gone
I
into
can,
your personal space.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of, it's a tricky line really, because there's obviously curiosity
Yeah.
where it's kind of like, wow, your hair, like that's not the hair that I see here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's the curiosity about the hair, but then there's kind of a line that can be crossed where you feel that it's okay to step into a person's space and
Yeah.
physically touch them. And it's tricky because people really, they don't think, the intention isn't there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
somewhere it's kind
Yeah.
of like, you know,
And
why do you feel like you can?
and then getting into your personal space makes you feel away automatically as well.
Yeah,
What's
it's weird.
what would you say the earliest memory is then of, say, like with someone saying, "Can I touch your hair?"
um well, to be honest with you, for a good few years, there wasn't really questions. I
Mm.
remember being a little girl and people saying, "Oh, she's so pretty," and just touching my hair. And I remember that, because when you're a kid, you don't really have a say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I remember from a really early age, a lot of people would put their hands in my hair. I think when I got to maybe primary school, high
Yeah.
school, I started to be like, and then it was, can I touch your hair?
Right.
Um,
Okay.
so
So when you is that? Do you feel like that's because then you started to have products in your hair, and that you stepped back because you didn't kind of want to mess it up, or
Well, there's products, but then there's also, I don't know you and you're touching
Of
me.
course. Yeah.
So that's the main one.
Yeah. So you
The
get random
products,
people then. You get
yeah.
like
Yeah,
wow.
random people. Random people don't touch it now. The Ollie was actually with me. We was in, I think it was Aldi, and she witnessed it. Someone kind of stood opposite me and was really, yeah,
No.
yeah. So they get. It's almost like I can't not, and it's kind of like back up. So
So
it's.
does it still make? Does it? I suppose it's a stupid question, but it's worth asking. Do you get angry?
I do now.
Mm.
But not necessarily. Not angry as in shout, but
Yeah,
you
internally.
know, for so many years, you're almost made to feel like what feels uncomfortable to you shouldn't feel
Mm,
uncomfortable to you. So there
mm.
was many years where I felt very uncomfortable about people touching my hair and didn't feel like I had the right to say you're bothering me.
Yes, yes. I suppose
Um,
in the only comparison that I can give you in my experience is I've spoke about it before. I suppose like in sport, and you might have had it yourself to do with banter sort of thing. And
yeah,
when you're predominantly in a room with, let's say, white people, and they're making a banter joke, or if it's something to do with the color of your skin, you feel like you don't want to be that person to call it out because you feel a bit awkward, or
yeah,
I don't want to mess up the vibe in the room if I bring that up, which I think's it's really sad when you say it out loud because you're calling out something that's inappropriate. Someone's getting in your personal space trying to touch your hair, and that's inappropriate.
it
Um,
is.
I mean,
And you're
myself, I had
sorry.
I had an afro in school. I actually got a prop. I'll leave him there for a sec. So I had an afro in school,
It's
and
great.
you know the whole kind of touchy thing is the only way I can have some comparison with yourself, and it becomes really annoying, frustrating. You get random strangers coming up to you, or when they ask you the question as well, can I touch it? They think it's automatically going to be a yes.
The hand is already en route. What's that?
Yeah, it's
So,
like,
yeah,
can I touch it?
the hand's
No,
already
you
there.
actually say no as you're doing
Yeah,
this, and then
flinching.
they're looking at you like you meant to say yes. Hmm.
I've already decided the answer's yes, so I'm
Yeah,
on my way. Yeah,
and it always
definitely.
seems to be put in a position like I feel like because of maybe black people's hairstyles within black people, we know not to do that because we know that's invading your personal space. But
Mm.
it's strange how it's like a white person who's never encountered black hair doesn't know about boundaries. How do you not know that this is in my personal space?
Yes, it's. I feel like it's almost like in a deep way. It's kind of, how do I word this? It's that privilege that
Oh yeah,
that you automatically can touch
dude.
something that you're, do
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You're not the same as me,
yeah,
and because you're not the same as me, I'm curious about what is different, and I'm going to touch it.
yeah. It's
Do you
almost
know?
a right that white people would feel to say I'm just gonna have a touch. It's
Yeah,
curious to me that no offense, but can I touch your hair? No. So
no,
why are you then offended if I'm saying no? Because you've asked any question. And I suppose it'd be more difficult for a woman and black as well in comparison to a men that's black with hairstyles because because you've got such a range of beautiful hair. It's such a range. The amount of things that you can do is amazing. Yeah, but I think it was really good. And being a black woman now, it's almost a double-edged sword. What you've got to go through, and
Mm,
it really touches my heart about conversations that people have where they'll when it comes to looks, that they'll automatically write off a black woman just because they are black, and it infuriates me. It
yeah,
really does. I had a conversation with my friends, and we had this exact conversation, and it was around just looks, just in general, and the fact that some of my friends before even seeing this person, knowing their skin color is black or not too dark. And it baffles me, but because at the same time, then you're screaming Black Lives Matter. And it's almost, I feel black women are cancelled out, or they can't speak about sexism because it's massive.
It's huge when it comes to being black and being a woman. There's it's kind of like double whammy, because and in terms of, you know, your friends and things like that, it's colorism. It's kind of it's almost, I understand that people have their preferences, but when people go out of their way to not even give people a chance based on their skin color, it's all based on stereotypes that have been fed to you, that you're now listening to when your mother or your father is black. And it's kind of like, it does hurt when it comes from the kings, to be fair.
Of course, and I can only imagine. I said this to my friends as well, and I've said I will never write off a person. Like you said, if you've got stereotypes, if you've got a look that you go for, preference, that's the word I'm looking for. If you've got a preference, then fair enough. So if someone comes in, not really for me, but it just baffles me how anyone, before even this person can enter a room, I've said this person's a black woman, and they're going, nah, not for me. So, and again, this colorism is an issue as well that needs to be taken into consideration. It really is, and it's almost women get silenced when you bring up sexism, but on top of that, you're black as well, and it's frustrating for me, and I'm male, so I can't even imagine, you know, how you feel, and I think it's really important to put that out there. I am here for you, you know. This is not I'm feeling sorry for you at all.
No, I know. Of course not.
It's something, it does need to change. I think it really does.
It really does.
It's such a powerful thing that's been ingrained, I think, in a lot of us. And a lot of the times, and I will still continue to check myself, I really, really have to, especially when it comes to women, you know. And I think black women get it the most. I really, really do.
It's this stereotype that, you know, it's kind of like the stereotype says, where it makes us as these strong, unbreakable women, but then we're also a target. So it's kind of like, you know, we're portrayed as, you know, sassy and this and that, and that's kind of the ideology behind a black woman. But you know, we are strong, and yes, we do know how to stand up for ourselves. We've had to, because it's kind of like you are fighting constantly. Absolutely. You're fighting, you know, stereotypes. You're fighting, you know, people making assumptions. You're fighting people grabbing your hair. So we are fighters, but that doesn't mean it's kind of actively go out of your way to be, you know, against us. And that's kind of what colorism feels like. It's kind of like you actively going out of your way to, you know, backpack on all of these stereotypes, when me and you are the same. So it's tricky, but
it's a sad thing. It really is. And it is, I mean, even going back to colorism, when you've got the whole I like a lighty, or, you know, these, if a browning or something like that, and, you know, guys, including myself, like I said before, we have to check ourselves, man. We really do, because the shit that you're saying, you just need to take in consideration what it is and delve a bit deeper on why you're saying it. Because, and I've had conversations with friends who necessarily don't want to hear the real reason behind it. You have been brainwashed, including myself in this, by the way, including myself. You have been brainwashed. I've been fortunate enough to not have that same process in my head. If someone says a Chinese girl's going to walk in or a black girl's going to walk in, I'm not going to go, nah, I'm good. I would take the time to know this the person that's walking in before I've even made a prejudgment, which someone's just got a type. I only like white guys. I only like black guys, which to me, it doesn't even compute with me. But I suppose I would say if I was younger, but I've never. No,
you haven't. Vinny, give me 1 second. The cat is literally knocking on the window. She's going like this. 1 second.
I think his cat goes nuts. What's the name? Kiki. Kiki, do you love me?
Sorry.
It's all right. Kiki
wouldn't stop otherwise.
Kiki at 3 o'clock in the morning gets me.
She was literally opposite me, wiping the window, going help. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Kiki annoys the hell out of me.
Love Keeks.
I hate it. Yeah, it's a strange one. It's a strange one of how to tackle, because you're fighting this, but you're fighting Black Lives Matter, which is a great cause, and it's predominantly male again orientated. I mean, Breonna Taylor, for example, is a story worth knowing, and I think it has been given time, but not enough time in comparison to these other cases. All cases are absolutely horrible, but again, it's back to it's the man that seems to be important. When
there's also more movement on the other cases, like Breonna Taylor's still not, got any justice.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, she was
hard one. It's an hard one, isn't it?
It really, it's just out and out racism. Like there's just no other reason why someone would be asleep in their bed, be murdered in their sleep, and not have any justice brought to them.
Yeah. But not even televised. I mean, I feel like it's been pushed by social media rather than the actual news to make it a bigger subject. And what I like about today is social media is amazing and horrible and brilliant. And
I completely get that.
And it's just a bundle of different emotions in it that you get from it. You can get a lot from it, but at the same time, it can gut you like a fish. And some of the stuff that's going around at the moment is absolutely brilliant. What we're seeing is fantastic. And then you'll see a video that's pointing like these hatred groups that are getting together, and then that's being publicized. And also what they're showing on TV as well.
I don't even watch TV now.
I mean, with yourself, you're a great actress, so I should say. Have you found any roles where you've had to dilute your blackness? And what I mean by that is, if there's maybe adverts or there's been parts that you've had to go for where it may be seen more for a white role. Does that make sense? I don't know your world, so I'm not quite sure. Well,
it's getting better, but that doesn't mean it's where it should be.
Yeah.
It's if you do get offered roles, they could be, they either want you to cut it back or turn it right up and live up to the stereotype.
Okay.
And speaking of hair, there's been a lot of roles that I've got because I used to have like big curly hair, and there was roles that I got because of the hair.
Right. And so the hair became you instead of
definitely.
Right. Okay.
Definitely. It was kind of like, right, we've got this black girl, she's got the big hair, that's what fits.
Right.
And I was getting so many kind of roles that were so based on my hair. And at the time, it's great, you want to work, but then it's also, there is more to a black girl than the big hair. Like, let me do a bit more. So I actually a few years ago cut all my hair off.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had literally like no hair. Like now, obviously, it's got like its braids and everything like that. But my hair's.
How did you feel when you?
Free, free, so free. Yeah. And loads of nobody wanted to put their hands in my hair.
Yeah.
There was a couple of people that was like, "Oh, your hair's lovely," but it wasn't you didn't have to touch it
Yeah.
anymore. So I really, really loved
I'm
that.
glad that you feel free, but you know what? It saddens me and this might not be your reason, but it saddens me when other black women might want to cut their hair because they're so sick of
Of people
having that
touching.
type of attention. And you know, if someone's got to cut their hair because of that, it's sad. But if you're feeling free and elevated, that's amazing because you can feel like now they're looking more at you rather than your
Yeah,
hair. Although your
that
hair
is
is part of
definitely.
you, but you know, if they're looking at you, I think that's more of a statement. It's like, look, this is actually me,
Yeah,
which is
well, as a when it's like a black girl with big hair, it's kind of like it does fit a stereotype. And
mm,
so even though I loved my hair, it was very seen as stereotypical in the casting world, and it did help me get work, but
yeah,
that was a reason why I cut it off as well. It
yeah,
was kind of like, am I more than this hair? Am I going to get work without this hair?
yeah.
Or
And what? How did you find when you cut your hair? Was you nervous about casting after you cut
I
your hair?
was nervous about casting. I was nervous about it because it was kind of like I knew I was more than the hair, but
Of
it was kind
course,
of like, am I going to get a chance now that I haven't
show it.
got that kind of token?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And yeah, I did. I did get in rooms. I didn't get out of many, I'll be honest.
Right,
And when I put these extensions in, I I did start getting auditions and getting back out of the room. So
right. Okay.
it was strange, but you know, I don't regret doing it. But
Yeah.
it got me a lot of attention, but it didn't really get me out of the room, which I found quite
When you
bizarre.
say in a room, what do you mean?
Oh, sorry, I'm being all actory now. So you go to audition, that's you getting in the room, and you
Right,
getting out is you getting the part and landing the
right.
role. So
Now
I
I'm
did,
with you. I
yeah,
had to ask the question because I thought, am
yeah.
I going to sound stupid here now
No.
by not knowing? Right. Okay. So you're in the room. Right, right, right. That
Yeah,
makes
so I
sense.
did get in some rooms. I did get in some rooms.
Ah,
But I didn't get out of many. I got out of some. I got out
right.
of some, but I didn't get out of as many as I went into. But that is also acting as well, to be fair. You know, you could
So
go
you
for 10
moved.
auditions and only get one.
So you moved. You was in Preston. Is that right?
I was born in Preston, then
Preston, and
moved to
then
Chester.
moved to Chester because
Yeah.
Chester, I suppose, like Oldham. I mean, Oldham's multicultural, but where I was brought up is predominantly white.
Mm,
Um, so in school, for me, you know, it was tokenism really. You know, you could count the black people that are in there. You know,
yeah.
arguably you might be called black mini if there was two of you to distinguish between which one's which. I think I was the only Vinny to be fair, so I was all right in that category. But when you go into a predominantly white area, did you find that people were trying to live the stereotypical black girl? Was you being pictured in that scenario? Do you think, or not?
That still happens to this day.
Right.
To this day.
Right.
Yeah. That still happens to this day, yeah. But when I first got there, the first thing I noticed is a lot of people were intimidated by me
Interesting. White
automatically.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it was only one other black girl that I remember up until maybe year 10. And then I think, well, I'd only had one more year and then it was over.
Mm.
But yeah, I feel like people had this impression that I was, you know, and I'm really, I'm so, look, I can defend myself, but
Of
I'm not.
course.
I'm not actively like
Yeah, yeah.
aggressive.
But it shouldn't be that there anyway. Like, because you're a person, so you know you could get another black person stood next to you. Doesn't mean that they have to be actively aggressive in that. But of course, you can stand up for yourself. But so they was intimidated by you then. I suppose sometimes
Instantly
when you
intimidated.
but the thing is, this is kind of can turn then into a self-fulfilling prophecy that can then make you feel like, all right, then you see me as strong, so I'm going to be strong. So he could put you in this kind of scenario. I mean, did you live up to it? You feel like,
I didn't.
or did you
Some
use it?
people. I was just me, to be
Yeah,
honest with you. I
yeah.
did think I did get to hang around with like some year 11s when I was in year 8, and I did think,
Ooh.
I know, I thought, okay, this is me. So I did use it sometimes, but I was friends with everybody pretty much in school. Obviously there's people that you're not friends with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I pretty much got along with everybody in school, and just I suppose I've turned it up if you know, put me in that position. But
Yeah,
that was usually men. It was never women. It
really.
was never
What, that were
women
intimidated by you?
that that would be aggressive towards me.
Really?
Yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah, yeah. It's
Is
funny.
that in school or in life now?
In high school, not
In
in
high
life
school.
now.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I don't really put myself in any kind of positions to be around like people that I don't know that often. So I
Yeah.
would say in school it was kind of like if someone would say something or be rude, I might be like, you know, I'll tell my brother because I'm, you know, that's what it's like.
Oh
And
yeah, of
then once
course.
you say you've got a brother, they
Yeah.
obviously he's in the mafia or whatever, or he's a crip,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's when the guys will be really like, oh,
Yeah, yeah. But then again, it's living up to the. They're thinking it's going to be the stereotype as well.
yeah, they were petrified. They were petrified. Um, I did one day. Someone said, I don't know what they said to me. It was racist, but it wasn't the M word, but it was racist.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to tell my brother. And then they said something like, I'm going to get my sister to back you after school. So I rang my brother and was like, pick me up. Um, so I said, my brother's picking me up, and you should have seen them. There was like 15 guys outside school petrified. And then my brother came on his own, picked me up. They didn't say anything, and they were like, it's just it. I don't know what they're expecting anyway, but yeah.
When they just turn up and you think it's going to be something that it's actually not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they thought he was part of some sort of gang or whatever.
Mhm.
It's just stereotypical.
How many years has your brother got on you?
He's 4 years older than me.
4 years older. Oh, right, okay, yeah, so he would have left. See, my brother, as you know Danny,
Yeah.
he was 2 years older than me. So when I went to year 7, he was in year 9. So I was known as
Oh, so you're
I was
Danny.
Finnegan's little brother. So
Oh, because
yeah.
he'd
So
already
I kind
set
of
up.
came. I was chilling with the year 9s. I'd make him, we had laugh and joke, and I was kind of in from there sort of thing. But he didn't really have a great reputation with the teachers, which didn't look well for me when I got into year 7. I think there was the French teacher specifically did not like. I mean, I remember the first lesson that we had, and you have to say "oui, madame," and it got to my name, and she said, "Are you Daniel's brother?" I said, "Yeah." She went, "Well, that's not have the same problems as we do with him," and automatically then ripped me off. Just ripped me
Wow.
off. So we never got on like at all. Like I made it purpose to annoy her because she just made me
She
feel.
deserved it.
Oh, of course. It was mad. But I think I mean, the journey with my hair would be, like I had an afro,
Mm.
um, up until end of school, and then start getting like patterns and stuff like that in your hair. So I think when it comes to hair, with I suppose with all types of people, but historically, what black people do with their hair is amazing, and
Mm.
arguably, other cultures have stolen black people's
Oh my
hair
God, yeah.
and style themselves.
But it's not ghetto when other cultures do it.
Well, there
What
you
about
go. It
that?
seems
Yeah.
acceptable. It seems, especially looks, clothing. I suppose makeup for you is because for women. Because forgive me, I'm a man, so I don't really know this type of lane. But when it comes to makeup for black women, that's going to be a struggle as well because there's more available now.
Yeah,
But
there's
I
definitely
mean,
no.
growing up, let's go back 10 years, 15 years. What was there? What was there? I don't want to say for you. Well, yeah, for black women, was
Well,
there a
in
lot?
Chester, it depends where you are, but in Chester there was nothing. There was
Mm,
nothing. Um, we had to go to well, I didn't wear makeup till, mid high school, but until until then, I remember mum having to go to Manchester or back to Preston just to get some makeup and hair products. Like, there was nothing. And that's not something that you notice if it's not you that it affects.
Of course.
So, you know, but it's strange because a part of me almost was like, oh well, they won't have my hair stuff here. I almost accepted it as well, and it's
Mm,
because, you know, um a while to realize our hair products should be there, and there should be um you know, shades of all kinds for
yeah.
anybody.
Mm,
And I realized I realized that people needed more education on those things, and they needed more shades. When I actually did I oh god, what was it? I think it was a commercial,
yeah.
and it was years ago, like really early stages of kind of my acting, and she turned me grey. Like,
Really?
oh my god, yes. Oh my god. She didn't have my tone, and I think like she mixed, there's warm tones and there's cool tones of,
Yeah.
you know, of our skin, and she'd mixed the cool tone, and she just didn't have enough education on my skin tone, and I ended up being like grey.
Oh
And
my God. But you see,
I know.
again, we're living, so that when it comes to beauty, it's predominantly for white people. So the
Yeah.
products is more for white people, but I suppose it's a shame for black people that they've got to go out of their way to actually find a product that works for them. You can't just go down the road. So specifically, you might have to go to Money Market, which is probably the closest to you. But I suppose for a white person, you can go absolutely anywhere, and you don't see them struggles. And
Because that's the standard, that's the beauty standard, that's what's right,
exactly,
and that's what we as a society cater to.
mm,
And that's not what society is.
it
It's
doesn't. Yeah,
so many different colors.
yeah, I would say the makeup industry doesn't represent the culture in terms of the amount of races that do have makeup. Guaranteed, it's a lot better now, and I'm saying it like I wear makeup every day. Like I don't wake up and wear makeup at all, but seeing different faces on TV has
Mm.
changed, but it's nowhere near. And again, it's tokenism. It's a few,
It's like,
just a few.
let's put them
We've
in.
got a few
Yeah,
in there, so we're all right. But it's not. I wouldn't say it's equal in terms of the
definitely not
products that are
equal.
available. But there is products that are out there specifically for black women, which is amazing. But I just don't
Yeah.
think that it's maybe publicized as much. I mean,
Well, it's not even that. It's to the point where, you know, my friend Sarah, she's a hairdresser, and she's learned to do my hair. Like, she's
mm,
learned how to deal with my hair, and she did. You know, she went to college and trained in hair and
mm,
in makeup, but it stops at a certain hair and it
okay,
stops at a certain makeup, and it's
yeah,
kind of like, if that's not a reflection of society. Like, why
mm,
is there's actually a petition on I don't know if it's finished now, but there was a petition and it said all textures matter. And it's kind of like, you know,
okay,
there's models that go to these, you know, shows, and the hairstylist has no idea how to do their hair. And these are top shows, big
yeah.
shows. And it's kind of like that industry doesn't know how to do our hair, but you know, you've gone as far as saying we can have black models, but what's the point in having black models when you don't know how to do their makeup and you
Yeah,
don't know how to do their hair? It's
yeah, man.
like, why isn't that part of
And it's weird that you said that
education?
because you're yeah, but I was going to bring up about the education because if I'm going to pay for a course on hair and beauty, and then it's only European hair, for example, that limits the actual person's skills as well. Because your friend Sarah Sazzle, what she can do now is if she learns other people's hair, which she now has, then that gives a bigger profile as well. So
Yes.
it just caters for one type of hair, or maybe a couple, but European hair, I would say, which again can be versatile, but it doesn't represent what's going on in the UK as well. And if you wanted to be a beautician, is it a beautician or a hair? I don't even know, hair and beauty,
What to do makeup? A makeup artist?
makeup artist and hair. Is it hair and beauty?
Just hair and beauty.
We'll call it hair and beauty. It's
Yeah.
hair and beauty. I'm acting like I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, with hair and beauty, if you had bigger options that are available when it comes to education, that's key. And education in general, man, like in school,
Yeah.
like in a workplace, because you experience. I mean, I know I experienced these microaggressions that people say throughout our lives, but I do understand that as a mixed race person, I've
Mm.
got privilege as well in terms of my skin color in certain scenarios. So I feel like if I'm male and darker skinned, then maybe I will fit the stereotype more than a mixed race person. So I understand that as well. But would you say it's the same for mixed race women versus black women?
It is the same. Yeah, I feel like it leans to the closer you lean towards the right shade, the closer, the more you will be respected, the more, the more you will be, treated like a human being, I guess.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of like, that is what it is. It's the scale. Like, the darker you are, the more you fit this
Description.
description, and the lighter you are, that's you getting closer to what is right.
Yeah.
And it happens to like even now, there's this kind of, light skinned girls, like they're just my preference, and on all these things, it's kind of like there's this, it's like black guys wanting to say, we do love black women, but it's kind of like, but they have to be light skinned with green eyes.
Yeah.
And curls, not the tight ones, the nice loose
curl.
ones. Yeah. And it's kind of like,
But then that's black guys ignoring black women as well. So ignoring black women it's bad in itself, because if you're ignoring that, but then we're shouting the hardest for Black Lives Matter, taking consideration black women as well, because
it's a complete contradiction.
it is
A complete
what black women have got to
contradiction.
go through in comparison to, because a black man is dealing with racism, and because it's a male dominated society, it's like, it's racism, stop, which is terrible in itself, and no one should ever have to deal with racism. But for black women, it's sexism, which you'll deal with like just there's no point of even saying give me a time when, because it'd be pretty much a lot of the times in your life.
Yeah.
Plus having racism as well in a male dominated society, it's just it baffles my mind. And the more and more I talk about it with Ollie, the more and more I talk about it just with other people in general, the more I get upset. And I'm male. You know what I mean? Like I get upset for it. So I think a lot of guys, when it comes to sexism, I think a lot of guys think it's not that bad. I feel like they go, it's not that bad. But and then on top of that, you're forgetting about the racism part. So it's like what women have got to do from a guy's perspective. It's like, right, this is not my thoughts, by the way, but it's like, right, racism or sexism, you can't have both. You need to pick. No, it's
want any.
Why would I want to pick? So I feel like from a male's perspective, it's seen as, when it comes to sexism, it's not that bad, or guys do not think that they're being sexist, or they're thinking there's nothing wrong with that of the concept in his head.
The rabbit hole goes so deep.
It does.
But the thing that gets me about the sexism with the racism is that I feel like black men should be able to kind of understand it a little bit more, because they know that the microaggressions that they deal with in racism, and as subtle as they are, but are not subtle to you experiencing it, that is what sexism is like. It's almost like racism the remix. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like any woman that has experienced sexism should understand racism, because it's that it's
Yeah,
that tiny little thing that it's kind of like it can be looked at, it can be, you know, bypassed, or you can
yeah,
actually see it, but it's so subtle that it's
yeah.
kind of like racism. If you say certain things, it's like, well, I didn't mean it like that, or I didn't.
Yes,
But
yes.
if you're a person that's experienced sexism or racism, the two are almost
Yeah, I think the link.
they're,
Yeah, I think if you
they're,
was to ever compare something, and it's not comparable, but if you was to compare, I think I know what I'm trying to say.
there's
It's
a
like
there's a
there
link.
is that link of the microaggressions that you're saying when it comes to sexism for women in general, but and then you've got, and again I've said it again, but you're getting racism on top of that, and it'd be hard, man. It's a struggle. And then if you ask a person what is the answer, like how do we solve this? I keep banging on about it, but it's education, man. It
It's
really is.
education. There's just no two ways about it.
I think I've always, it's easier for a man because you're living in a man's world. And I don't mean that women should have equal rights as much as men, but what's around us is catered more for males, which needs to change in itself, yeah. But because we see that as like we're used to this, so it's like everyday life. So it's easy for us to go, not a woman, so it's all right. So that's why the link comes in between racism, because I suppose it's male privilege, because if it was white and black and we're talking about, well, it doesn't affect me, so it's all right, that would be white privilege. So
Mm.
this is what, you know what I mean? That's where the link kind of comes in. And I don't think men, and in the past with myself, and maybe in the future when I have to check myself, that doesn't compute. And it sometimes takes a woman to say, have you thought about this? And I'll be like, it's not that bad. And then after exploring what I've just said and thought, nah, it is that bad.
I get it. Yeah.
Is dating, would you say, is harder for you?
I don't know. Um, I think dating's harder for me in general because I've got standards, and because
There's nothing
I
wrong with
know.
that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I suppose, the first thing that I said was stupid because I'm almost speaking for you, saying it's harder for you when it couldn't be. So yeah, that's why I had to pull that back. But I suppose it's just there were these stats, and I don't have the exact numbers, and I wish I did. And it talked about the app, to swipe,
Tin.
yeah, Tinder.
Oh,
Um,
oh, sorry. Sorry.
Hi, Bob.
Hi.
Hi. And you could swipe, yeah, and it said there was a high percentage of black women that got swiped no, so they was the least
Desirable.
least desirable to swipe. And I thought, well, that's interesting, because why is that? I don't.
What?
So automatically there must be a thing ingrained, which I personally had conversations with my friends as well, where it's an automatic no. So sorry, no, I'm not. Or if it's blonde hair, I'm going for like the blonde hair, blue eyes. Excuse me, blonde hair, blue eyes, white person or white girl will be a thing that's be the most desirable, because this is everything that we see. And this is Jade. This is the conversations that I'm having that I've had with my friends, yeah. And they've almost didn't want to hear what I was saying. And I'm like, look, we've been brainwashed into what we like. When you're younger, your not role models, the girls that you fancy in magazines or anything like that. You've been brainwashed. I went, I'm saying this to you because I have as well. I'm not saying it to you like I'm some woke person. Like, this has been me as well. And it's the case of, well, I just like what I like. Well,
What is it that made you think? Wait a minute. Like
you know what?
what?
It's educating myself, man. It's a good question, and it's educating myself. It's listening. It's listening to other people's thoughts and feelings. There's always been a part of me that's been like that in terms of accepting other races and cultures, and I've got to thank my mum and I've got to thank my family and friends for having that multicultural, because I know there is some mixed race people specifically that I know in my life that have gone the other way. And what I mean by that is they've been so narrow-minded in their thoughts and feelings towards black people that it's been almost like I don't want to know anything to do with that side. I'll just stick to the white side.